Go.
Well, welcome everybody to yet another episode of No BS. Today we're covering yet another segment of Adulting for Adults. For all you young and, possibly getting up into your 30s, growing up and kind of got thrown out and have no idea what you're doing. Today we're going to cover something specific, and that is taking that idea that you had and turning it into revenue, and not only turning it into revenue, but how to utilize tools that are available to you, such as social media. Today we actually have a couple guests, and we're going to have quite the conversation. So let's get this ball rolling. Non-patron saint, as I like to call you. Why don't you go over, because the last time we talked, you had established what specifically you wanted to sell. You had taken the time to research the product, the time spent, and the basic price per item that you would sell it for. Okay. So now that we have that established, why don't you go over the few things that you've learned over these past two episodes, how you applied them, and where you're seeking your next steps at?
To start with, the biggest thing that I've learned from these past two episodes is the fact that the business aspect is just as important as the product. But yeah, the business aspect being just as important as the products, because if you don't know where you want your business in terms of growth you want to go, the products, they will eventually just not go anywhere either.
Right. So you've learned that it's not that you just create a business, you actually have a goal of where that business is going, right? So let's on that. Like I had said before, most businesses are built and sold or fall within their first 2 years. Okay. It could be because the fall part can be usually of these three main things. One, not properly outsourcing, right? You kind of just put it out there and expected it to happen. Right? You got to actually put some effort into it. You got to, take the time to record the videos, to ask people to, promote your product, put that into your budget of, hey, I'm going to send a couple of these to some people that I trust or to some people who I follow on social media for them to just get it for free in exchange for promotion. This also covers that same thing I was saying earlier about investments. Right? An investment is simply taking your time and effort or money or product, right? And investing it into something, make it grow. That's the whole point of investing. So while doing this, right, we, hang on. While doing this, you're also going to see that, like I said before in the other episode, right? And within the first year to 2 years, you've already sold it. Even if you've only sold it to, which most cases in small businesses, you're literally just selling the name. It's not like you're selling them all your product. You're literally just selling the rights and name of the company to another person, right? So within your first year to 2 years, you could make a business that you've invested anywhere between a couple hundred to a couple thousand. You've built it to be making 50 to 150,000 a year, and then you flip and sell that at 200,000, right? Because you could say, hey, for these 2 years, I've already made this amount, right? This is the worth and value of this company. By showing how the sales are going, you can, with your graph, etc., that's tracking your sales and your waste, etc., you can use that also as a sale point. So realizing, like you just said, that you have to also have a plan of where that business is going to go. Is it going to turn into almost like a monopoly, like Walmart, right? Where it started out on one thing, but then over time, it just became like this super center of, grab different items, different companies, and etc. Or is it going to be a strict business that stays on point, kind of like, say, Herman Miller, right? They are specifically into business furniture, right? then you also have to say, am I building it to last and to grow and to be inherited? Or is this a stepping stone in which I can do to progress a better company that I want to make later? Right? So can kind of continue on that because I don't mean to go that much on a rant, but I'm glad that you pointed that out. Like I really am, because when we normally have these conversations, that tends to be one of the first things that people tend to forget about is the whole point of the business is simply to add revenue to something that you've already created. It's not something that is a win all cash all, right? It's just as successful or as failing as anything else you do. And if you don't have that goal and plan, set in place, it's kind of just you're giving the influence and direction of that company to everything else outside of your own direction. So yeah, go ahead and keep going with what the other couple things that you learned.
The other couple things that I learned was definitely that to not go into it if I'm not going to enjoy it. Like
Absolutely.
it's all about the effort that I want to put into it, if I'm gonna love it or not, because that will affect whether or not other people want to put their effort into it, whether they're gonna love it or not. Because like we were talking about, if I don't love what I'm doing, it's not gonna be as great as if I was doing something that I did love. And it's about time. It's not about money. It's about the time that it takes to do these things. And is that worth my time if I'm not happy doing it?
Correct. So you've also come to that point to where, like I was teaching in episode 3, where you got to stop looking at it as like you do on a clock, right? Where you make $15 an hour, and you have this iPhone you want to buy that's $1,000, right? And so you work so many hours to make so much cash to get that phone. When in reality, you need to just look at it and go, I'm not spending money, I'm spending my life. Right? I mean, the amount of effort that you put in to earning the money for the phone, you could do something on the side, make half the amount of money, and then build the phone simply by taking the time to learn how to do it, and you'd probably save money, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you absolutely got to stop looking at your life as a currency, right? And realize that the time of your life is the currency, not the object.
Right.
So I guess the last thing I'd like you to cover real quick is, where do you see your next step for getting this business started? And go ahead and let us all know again what it is you're specifically starting currently.
Well, what I'm specifically looking to start currently is a candle business. Now, eventually, I plan for that to grow into much more things, but I'm starting with candles because I love candles. I love the scent of them, and there's so many uses for them. And where I plan to go with that is the fact that I'm looking into just trying to have fun, grow. I want to eventually grow into not just candles, but wax melts. And then I want to do things like, especially with like safety candles for the Salvation Army. That's where I want to take that whole business. And a lot of the thing of what I really need to start with first is learning how to market on social media before I have the product in hand. Because if I don't already have an audience with things like candles, because not all businesses, you have to have an audience first. But especially with businesses like candle businesses, you kind of do, because you need to know who you're making that product for to start out with. So I need to know where I'm going with social media to market a business where I don't have a whole lot of product yet.
Correct. Absolutely. Well said and well done. Go ahead and mute for a moment, and if Allie, you could jump on, that'd be much appreciated. to the dark side.
Hello. I can't promise that there's not going to be a lot of noise in the background, though.
Oh, no, that's perfectly fine.
Okay. What's crazy is, honestly, I've been thinking about diving into candles as well. I've gotten to a part in my journey working on creating things that, I don't know, the things that I've been creating just don't suit me like they used to. And I'm not finding as much joy into it. So that's oddly
that's
funny
the
for me as
perfect
well.
That's a perfect thing to bring up. Okay. So, let's walk this through, because you brought up something that has 3 parts to it that you want to cover. First, so through this conversation, you just realized, hey, there's someone else who's starting a company area that I myself am drawn to, right? Now you just presented yourself with 2 options. You could approach this other person and go, hey, I think that's a really good idea. I'd like to invest in your company for a percentage of shares. That shares would be dividend shares specifically, which means you get a monthly income from the sales that are made, right? Or you could join them and go, hey, how would you feel if I could get a discount on your candles if I promoted it on my social media? Or what if I join businesses with you, right? And so say she makes the candles and you go into the accessories for them, which you can each sell in your own companies separately, but also do joint company sales when you combine them, right?
I'm gonna pause you right there. My internet died, and you had taken a pause because you started responding to what I had said, and then after that, I heard basically nothing until the end right there.
Okay, so I'll re-go over it. So when you brought it up,
about that.
No, it's perfectly okay. When you brought it up, you brought up 3 things that become a possibility, right? So you just found out that there's another person here who is already in the process of creating a company in the area you want to go, right? I'm actually going to throw one in here because originally it was 2. This is not, I realize there's 3. You could choose to go work for her, right? Hey, I'll build your candles for 20 cents a candle, right? Well, I'm just throwing random numbers out there just to kind of break it down.
Yeah.
And so you would have to create 15, 100 candles a week in order to make a livable wage for yourself. Doesn't really sound like it's worth it, right? Because how many hours are you going to have to invest in that? You could go to her and go, hey, I like that idea. I don't really feel comfortable with starting or being fully in that company, but maybe I can invest, right? Now you can invest in different ways. You could financially help invest, which you may or may not be in the position to. If you're listening to this podcast, most likely you're not, but or you can invest, say, for example, you're popular on a specific social media site, right? You could go, hey, instead of monetary gain, sales, right? Through the people that get, that I send, right? So say, for example, we'll take the death battles on YouTube, right?
Right.
They have codes that they get with other companies to give their followers discounts in those stores, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then you have an exchange of where you're making a certain amount of profit based off of the fans you send to go purchase it, right?
Yeah.
And she gets more business because you're sending customers. And then there's the third set where you combine companies in a sense, right? So say she goes, all right, I'm going to make my company specifically colored and fragrance candles, right? And you come up with, I'm going to create design additives to candles. So you each are doing a different set of these processes, which you can sell individually. So that way people who make candles at home but want to dazzle them up, they can go straight to you. Or they have the bedazzles, but they need the candles, they go to her. Or the people who don't want to do both, but just want a rocking ass candle, you guys sell together in a third company.
Right.
Now you have 3 forms of income for both of you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's take it on how we get to apply it. Actually, I'll wait for this part after I talk to Luna. The next section that we're going to cover is how to utilize social media to make this a reality, and how to also implement what I called spider webbing in the previous episode. Now, before I move on to Luna, I want you to go ahead and give me 2 questions about an idea that you want to do with your business, if you could, Allie.
Like, I have to give you 2 questions?
Mhm.
Oh man, I have no idea what questions I could ask. Can you come back to me on that?
Absolutely. That's why we're having a second Q&A. I wanted to cover this one first before I start going on my little rants. And then we'll have a second one. So, I mean, it's perfectly fine. M has more only because she's with me more often, right? But as you guys start attending these and listening to the episodes, a good portion that I have for it is for that. So that way you leave with just as many questions as you came. And I know that kind of seems redundant, but stagnation is what will stagnate your company. So long as you are constantly asking questions, your company will always grow.
Exactly.
If you don't, if
And
we're
honestly, the whole stagnation thing's kind of where I've been. So, like, thank you for mentioning that.
yeah, absolutely. All right, Luna, if you go ahead and click on.
Hey. All right. So,
Hey,
you know me. You've known me for years. I make beaded bookmarks and bracelets and sandals and heaven knows 1,000 other beaded things. And so I'm looking and going into that and trying to spread it and make it farther.
well, I've also known that you've actually tried doing that before.
Yes.
Why don't you tell me one of the biggest problems you face?
Getting it spread around, people knowing, hey, this is what she can do. Like, I mean, it's all over my Facebook page, it's all over the Facebook Marketplace, but that is a very limited group of people.
Well, here's a question, though. You say it's a very limited amount of people, right? But let me ask you, have you set up a target audience? Or is it just a general audience?
It's just a general audience. I don't really know how to do a target audience on Facebook.
Okay.
And so that's
just
perfect. The reason I come to you.
This is why we're going to be attacking, for example, using social media as a tool, right? And I knew that question was coming. So that's why I saved this part for you. So, say, for example, you're on TikTok, right? I'm going to take a side from each and every one of you, and I'm going to apply it the exact same way. But before I do, real quick, Allie, why don't you go ahead and do you want me to go ahead and use like the bedazzle as an idea? Or is there something other that you wanted me to touch on specifically for an idea?
You could touch on bedazzle. I kind of am eclectic as well and dabble in different things. I've dabbled in polymer clay. I did that for quite a few years, was good at it. Switched to perler beads, as well as resin. I work with that. I'm kind of all over the place myself.
Yeah, I'm kind of the queen of eclectic ideas.
Okay, so first, I'm going to take the bedazzle, right? People you're targeting are craftsmen, period. So when you're on TikTok, right, you're going to be making videos of craftsmen. You're going to make videos of you putting it into action, right? You're going to throw on some good music. You're going to flare it up a little bit. You're going to make a mess to make it seem more like you're enjoying yourself, right? Which, I mean, you already are, but you really oversell it, right? You sell the idea as much as you sell the product. I mean, think about it. If products were so good just selling themselves, advertisement wouldn't even be a thing. It just wouldn't. And your whole job to do it is to be able to capture someone's attention on a product and get them into the buyer stage within the first 8 to 22 seconds. I know that sounds crazy. You're like, well, what if my product covers all this stuff? How do I blah, 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 blah? Well, let's take that, Bedazzle, right? You do a little 30-second video of a standard candle, and then boom, you show it what it looks like when it's been bedazzled and the stuff that you sell that goes with it, right? You throw in some bad media in it, such as, aren't you tired of having to pay for this or having to wait for this or things just not coming out right? This makes it so much easier. So now not only did you just sell the product, you bashed how the rest of the world does it. Because let me tell you, bad media sells far quicker than good media. I hate to say it, but it does. All right. But you've also created a solution to the problem. It's business 101. Okay. If you're going to learn anything, learn this. 95% of all businesses either correct an immediate problem that's very prevalent, or they create the problem and then sell the solution. You see it in business, you see it in politics, you see it in health situations like hospitals and dental offices, etc. Business 101, address a problem, not a want. Make sense? So you may say, oh yeah, I think this is a cool idea because I get to bedazzle candles and everybody will like the idea to bedazzle candles. Well, sure, they'll like it, but what's the point of putting in the extra effort to buy something just because you like it? Now, if you're sitting there and you're like, well, I'm so tired of every time my friends and family come home and my house looks absolutely freaking dull and all I can afford or get these super expensive candles. And now I can go to M Store, buy a custom candle of a custom mode, and only spend $10-15 and bedazzle it later and of my own design. And now it just lights up my house. Solved an issue. Okay, business 101. Address an immediate, annoying problem or create it and then sell the solution. Make sense? Okay, so when you take the candles, right? Now, who's your target audience? Well, because you can customize it, you have a very broad opening. Now, this is where the bedazzling those candles come in just as much as the spread as the candles. Like I said in episode 3, right? As a candle maker, you've got all of Christian TikTok, all of Witch TikTok, all of Norse TikTok, you get my point, right? So you target the specific item to that specific audience, right? I'm not going to put a mint first edition Pokemon Charizard, right, on Facebook and be like, yo, I want $1,000 for it and expect I'm going to get it. But if I put that card on eBay, specifically under the things that the people that I know that are going to pay that kind of money for it, it's going to sell much quicker. Why? Because it's no longer a broad statement where it's easily passed over. It's not just another annoying ad. It's become something that takes investment just by looking at it, right? Oh, I'm a Christian and these candles would be perfect for my wedding. Oh, I can now bedazzle my own wedding candles and do it cheap. So you addressed an issue, solved the issue, promoted the product, and then reached your target audience simply by putting it where who's asking for it. Another problem that a lot of people have when you start out a business and you kind of just put it out there like, somebody's got to like it. But when you put in the effort to seek them out and just kind of put it in front of them, right? I'm a Star Wars fan, lightsabers, right? But am I going to just go and see a lightsaber on Facebook like, yo, yeah, I'm going to buy that simply because someone puts it out and says, hey, look, I'm selling my old lightsaber? No. But if I'm part of a lightsaber group and I see someone from that lightsaber group who puts it on there and goes, hey, not only is this just a lightsaber, but it has 7 different colors, it has this many different sound variants, it can do this, I wielded it myself and it did this and it held up well here. Well, one, I've got backing and trusting because I'm already part of the community that's seeking this product out, right? But at the same time, not only is it getting that benefit of how I can trust it because it's part of that community, but it's already what I'm looking for. So I'm not even having that debate with myself as a customer on whether or not this is something that I'm going to seek out. Now, does that mean I'm going to buy right then and there? No, but it becomes much more ingrained into what I want into my reality. And that's what you're selling. You're not selling your product. That's, business 102, okay? Or 101 part B, okay? After you find or cause a problem and then fix it and provide solution, you realize that you're not even selling a product, okay? Product is not immortal. Now there's the person. Now there's their attention span to said item. I mean, let's just take an example. How many of you, and I want you guys to all on mic here for a minute. How many of you have legit found something that you got really excited over when watching TV or watching a YouTube video or anything else, right? And you buy it. And then you get it and you're like, that is not the high I was expecting.
Quite a few times.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So, did they sell you a awesome product? Probably. Like, the product is probably still to this day badass, right? But it wasn't the product that caught you. It was the idea in which that product will live in your life, right? How do you sell Alexas in, Series and stuff like that? You show all the cool things that it can do in the house. Hey, Siri, play this, right? And then you get the damn thing, and then your PTSD kicks off because the thing likes to come on and tell you nightly, dark stories in the middle of the night without even being asked to, right? So, and then you find out the government's listening to you after. I mean, where's the privacy? They didn't sell the product, they sold the idea of it. So, how do we apply this on social media? I just told you that, one, if you're making videos surrounding your product, right? Build your own advertisement. You don't have to pay others to do it. Take the 20 minutes it takes for a quick idea and just throw it out there. Another thing you have to understand is you are your biggest critic. Now, there are going to be critics out there. There are going to be assholes out there. Don't you even waste time with? Legit, you do not even waste a moment of their time. If they're not seeking your product and seeking you, they're seeking validation, not a purchase. Cut them out. Don't even waste your time. Especially if they do the whole, well, I could get it so much cheaper. Okay. Have fun with that. Cool. Move on. It's that simple because they're never going to buy from you in the first place. And if you spend too much time on it, you're not reaching your other people, right? So do not allow your self-criticism to prevent you from moving forward to make these videos. No matter how stupid they are. I mean, think about it. Bill Gates himself started out by making what they called a blue box to hack iPhones. We are our worst critics, right? So, I mean, what if it fails? What if I don't make enough? What if nobody likes it? What if it doesn't pick off the ground? The fruit's never eaten if it's never harvested. Period. Okay? So, another step that we can take is reach out to other creators, right? If you're selling candles and stuff like that, reach out to witches, reach out to Christians, reach out to these people. Go, hey, if I send you one of my things, would you mind demonstrating it on your video? I'll give you a 10% discount on your next order. If it's something you like, show them your product. Most of them will go, yo, that's actually pretty dope. And how much is it normally? Well, it'll be about $20. And they're like, nah. And you'd be like, but if you're willing to do this, you get to keep the one that I gave you free. I'll give you a 10% on the next time you purchase. everything else, or I'll give you a coupon that every time you do it, I sell it to you for a couple bucks cheaper. Right? Doesn't cost you anything. You're still making money, and now you've got other people openly and freely promoting your product. Next step we have to go through is multi-platform advertising. Okay, if you sync everything you have, like with Luna here, well, I put it on Facebook. Okay, you've got Twitter. You've got, I mean, Twitter's not really a good one, but for example, I mean, it could be if you're selling things like passes, right, or events, or merch of like, hey, you know, this candidacy's coming up. I'm selling this, blah, blah, blah. Hit me up on my site, right? Which you want to attribute your Twitter to your business, right? And then every once in a while, just write some really stupid shit. Nothing that can get you legally in trouble, but write stupid shit. It's stupid shit that gets people following things. And if you got a bunch of followers on companies, that's how you get, I forgot his name, but the one who does the makeup, Star something. And it's one of your favorites, what was his
Jeffree
name?
Star.
Jeffree
Star, right? He did the exact
it also
same
helps
thing.
him become popular by all the different things that he's been in.
Right.
Not exactly like conspiracies, but the different things. Like right now, hitting the tabloids. Supposedly, he and Kanye West are cheating, are sneaking around.
Right.
So
What did I tell you
really
though? Bad publicity sells products.
Exactly.
For example, everyone thinks that Nike took a hit with the whole Kaepernick thing. Nike went through the fucking roof. When big corporations started, you know, going against it, the other side started doing nothing but buying them. And the ones that hated them bought them and burned them. They still bought them. That publicity is great. I know that sounds horrible, but it is. Now, do you want it immediately when you first start out a company? Obviously not. You want to build at least a good rapport of, you know, being on time with your delivery, great product, etc. But you want to piss people off at the same time, right? And the next part you also want to cover is, like I said, not only are you spider webbing this effect, you guys now have just figured out how to make multiple businesses that also trade with each other, which means 90% of the money that you guys are going to be spending, right, on material, you're getting from each other. You know what I'm saying? You are literally, you're keeping a good portion of the money that you would have still been outsourcing, and now you're just keeping it within your own pockets and just spinning it around. Like, and then you do that with social media at the same time. Well, now you guys have 3 to 4 different companies being spread by 4 to 5 different social medias, having within a couple months probably a good 100 to 1,000 people who have thousands upon people, tens of thousands, who are all looking at your product. And even if they don't want it, they probably know someone who does. At this point, I'm going to open back up for a couple Q&As, so that way if there's any other questions you guys would like me to cover today, I can finish it up strong. Let's go with you first, Allie.
I never really figured out any questions because I've been focusing on everything you have to say and trying to take stuff from it going forward. This is my first time here, so I'm just happy to be here.
Well, I'm super glad that you're here too. So is it basically one of those where I pretty much answered everything that you had, and you're gonna have to sit on it to? Okay, hey, that's perfectly fine. At least I know that was I able to explain it well enough for you to apply it?
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay, sweet. All right, well then we'll move on to Emily. What about you?
My biggest question is when it comes to things like YouTube and TikTok, they have these creator funds like in TikTok or creator things. Is that a great like side part to help your business, is earning money from those to be put back into your business?
Absolutely. It's a form of income. Every millionaire that's ever to existed has no less than 7 to 11 forms of income. Okay, so say you, like I said in episode 3, right? You take this candle business and you have 3 different businesses that you just spread off on. You have a Christian candle business, a just a standard business, and a custom business, right? And then you guys need to sit down one of these days, get together, exchange numbers, etc., and start building your guys' companies the same way and then interlock them. That will turn your 3 to 9 to each of you. Now, yeah, you're sharing the product, the income at this point. Like I said, you now have 9 sources of income, not including, like you just said, these creator funds, right? Now, what's another way you can make money? Well, one is, how do you not pay a shit ton of taxes? Turn all your income into nonprofit donational income as well, right? So you have corporate fees. Every money that you spend is spent on your business, right? And then any excess is put into your secondary business, which is the secondary to the other 3, which are your outreach programs, right? Which you can set up with other companies to also donate to. And so now not only have you created a business, but you've created an ability to improve the economic and living standards of those around you, which only does better for your own company. Why? Because then you've also built rapport. You've got a standing of you're for the people, right? And now you also have a way to write off 90% of it on your taxes. So your additional expenses are basically none. And then again, in another episode, I'll also go in through the offshore, create an LLC company that, audits all your, profits, and then their payment is your profits, but it's your company, but it's offshore. And so therefore it's no longer taxable. But that's something that I don't want you to just jump into. I'll actually go through the whole law process of it before, you want to just jump into it. Because when it comes to the legal side, especially with the IRS, you better know how to dot your I's and cross your T's, because you will be locked up if you don't. Yeah, like creator funds, donation funds for the outreach or to company promotion, right? You may say, hey, one of my businesses is like what I'm doing right here, social media itself, right? And so I'll be asking for donations to help improve the equipment that I have, right? Which helps cut back on the cost of the business itself, right? So just as you spider web outwards, you want to draw from the spider web around you as well. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Any other questions or suggestions?
I'm just trying to think. I don't think I have any other questions at this point in time, because that really answered the other question that I had.
Okay. I see Luna left. What happened?
It looks
I
like
wonder if
she's
she
typing. She got kicked out for some reason.
Okay. Go ahead and send me the thing to rejoin real quick.
All right.
All right. So Luna, let's you go ahead and jump on. Did you have any questions or ideas for the next episode? Are you there, Luna? Be experiencing technical difficulties. The difficulties of the technical.
Yeah, sorry, my tablet kind of for this. Working on a computer.
Right. Like I bring it over. I'll clean it out, and we'll get it booted up, get it moving, and
Yeah.
get all set up for it.
Well, I found the power cord for it and everything that I need to buy. It's like $15 for the power cord, no big deal. But anyway, like with my sandals that I make, Emily and you have both seen them 100 times. I know that I can sell them for summer weddings, and I know that they're targeted for really well for witchy people and the hippie people.
So
I
are
know
you
I have-
asking kind of like
if
how
anybody
to
knows any of those
target
people?
your target?
So let's see where I can help you and you can help me in that matter. And that goes for everybody. Like, I may know somebody who likes the product you sell, so if I sell it or promote it towards them, can you promote my product towards somebody else?
That's absolutely something you can do, and I highly recommend it. It's something back when I had my own businesses there for a while when I lived in Holland. That's exactly what I did. For many times, a lot of my advertisement was through like when I was making the swords and stuff like that. A lot of it was showcased in dojos.
Mm-hmm.
People would come to buy them from me specifically. I would also let them know, hey, this person teaches how to use these at a much higher degree, right? And so it's this exchange that you have. And not only do I encourage it, but it also helps you kind of get out of your shell of being in the fog of what I like to call it, the fog of finding your target, right? Now with your social media, all you have to do is hashtag it. If you're on TikTok, go to your search bar, hashtag witch talk, right? Watch their videos, see what they talk about, see what they specifically are into, send a video or tag them in a video that you make yourself of your product. And then like your first video, go, hey, I have 10 of these right now that I'm giving away before I start back up my business. Be sure to send anyone I have your way. Right? It's really
Okay.
that. But unless you talk to people, like for example, me who so that is why, yes, I highly recommend that you communicate heavily with your fellow business partners. You
Word of
heavily
mouth for one is a
build the same rapport with your customers, right? Like you get a customer who orders a decent order, right? So not just like one pair, but orders like 3 pairs, right? Send an additional gift. Send an email to them. Hey, I noticed that you purchased this, and I wanted to send a special thank you for your purchase. I'm sending this wine, or I'm sending this handcrafted crystal necklace or something alongside of it as a free gift to you. Just by doing that, you're going to get that customer go, man, this place was amazing. Not only was their product, above and beyond, but their service was above and beyond. They're going to communicate with you. They're like, hey, thank you so much. Like, hey, you could always also help with, blah, blah, blah. Reach out to your friends and stuff like that. Send them my way, etc. Or, hey, would you like a shout out on my next video about this, blah, blah, blah as well? And then you give them that shout out. And the next thing, they grow. And then all the people then paying attention to them, all because of your product. And then it becomes, oh, well, if I want to be as popular as that person, I got to get that product. That's how easy that stair steps up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely. That'd be like Emily's candles. If I make a pair of all natural like wood and crystal sandals and her candles we could sell to the witchy people together and
Right.
make a package deal out of it.
Absolutely. So like for example, let's take all 3, right? So you have like the sandals, right? She has the candle, and Allie has the bedazzles, right? And so though your companies are individual, so you sell to people just these products, you guys could do a promotional joint sales or cross business in which you guys sell those 3 items as a package.
Before we drift too far from the topic of social media platforms, to use to market things. There's one platform that hasn't been mentioned too much as Instagram, which is very photo oriented, and they also do videos and stuff like that. There's Witchtagram that's really popular for candles and sandals and stuff as well. So that's another good place, just like Witch Talk.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Look at you. Right on it.
Suppose that
So
means
was
I
there
should
any
look
other
into my
questions or
Instagram again.
suggestions for next episode? What was that?
So I suppose that means I should look into my Instagram. I haven't been on it in a few years.
Right. So, does anyone else have any other questions or suggestions for the next episode? I'll leave that one open.
Maybe to focus on different aspects of not just marketing this way, but alternative marketing, like outside of social media, should be the next step.
Okay.
I was
I'll
honestly
be
thinking
sure
the
to note that
same
one.
thing because, like, there was a few times I wanted to mention, like, fairs and festivals and, like, word of mouth being a good way to brand things as well, which obviously right now with pandemic being a big thing, big social gatherings like that aren't happening, but eventually I'm sure those will happen again. So,
I've already started writing a subject on it. I've got a little bit more research to do on it. But yeah, absolutely. Those two things that you brought up will definitely be on the next episode. How about you, Luna?
You could give me a lot to think about and a lot to talk over with the other one here.
Was he
Because,
listening in?
No, he's passed out.
Oh,
But I'll make him watch the video. But
all right. Did you have any suggestions that you would want me to cover on the next episode? Added on to what they brought up?
Not too much. I agree with a lot of their statements, so I will be willing to watch the next one to find out what's going on.
Right on. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end the call and the end of the podcast. So here we go. I enjoyed every last one of you. I'm glad that we could communicate, grow, which is our whole purpose. If you're a religious person, may whatever deity you worship bring you favor. And if that's not your sort of thing, may the odds forever be in your favor. Have a nice day.